Good. So we went through the system design, we went through the architecture in the previous video. Now, and we got familiar with the interfaces. Now I want to see on the implementation of this controller that basically tied together the entire business logic of the application. By the way, the one who is learning clean architecture, basically this is domain. According to the clean architecture, it knows nothing, this module and these classes, they know nothing, they have no imports of Android specifics. You will not see an import on the very Android or context, any Android or context mentionings. You will have only Kotlin specific logic, basically relying on the abstractions. And this is a basic abstraction, like core business logic of our application. And it know nothing about context. It's clean according to the clean architecture. This is so the basic rule of dependency inversion is satisfied. That's what I emphasize as a reviewer as a very first thing when I review the code. Clean architecture onion. Цибулька українською. This is very basic and very important image. You should know how it works, what it means. Have a look at this article as well. Basically, I have this controller, yeah, kind of, not use cases yet, but very close to the to this layer, to use cases and entity. Basically, this layer, like use cases, represents application specific business logic, and basically applications business which is called here application business rules. And basically that's what this controller is, because it knows nothing about any external dependencies. It knows nothing about this external circle. It knows nothing about database, about shared preferences we're using, about the way we dealing with the sound. See, it depends only on interface, only on abstraction. That's how it is possible to define business logic in a clean way, in a way that it doesn't know about external modules. Because in the clean architecture, in this scheme specifically, the core idea is what layer knows about other layers. Who should know about who? In this case, like a framework like Jetpack Compose or main activity should know about view model, like presenter, you know, or view model like we have. So you see, arrow goes from UI to the presenter, from Jetpack Compose to the view model. View model doesn't know about UI. UI knows about view model. Then view model knows about use case or controller, about this class, but controller doesn't know anything about view model or presenter layer. So arrow goes forward towards the core of this scheme. And then use case use like enterprise entities. Kind of, I don't really have any enterprise entities in here. So in my case, we can say this, all these are domain layer use cases and entities. So it's very important that this one doesn't know about this one doesn't know about this one. But, and it is done through the injecting interfaces. And as a beginner in the clean architecture, you might ask, but wait, Andrew, it doesn't make sense, because use case or your controller, this class should trigger sound. And in order to trigger sound or to change something on UI, it should know, it should trigger the UI side to send a signal to the UI. So in some way, it should know about UI. Yeah, in some way, it should know about UI. But when you're speaking about, and this no thing is done through the dependency inversion rule. Basically, there are two knowledges or two knows, two things that this class know about, and or two ways to think about dependencies. One way, according to the clean architecture, is important that this class then this does not inject any dependencies related to this, because it should not know any about framework specific things like context or database or API models or server retrofit, anything else. And this is satisfied because we rely on the abstraction. I would break this rule if I had here context injected, or if I had here implementation of sound player injected, not abstraction interface, but actual implementation of this interface. In that case, I would break this rule because our class would know, which means it would have as an import this specific. It will depend on the specific. It will know about outer level. But we didn't break this clean architecture rule. But still, using dependency inversion, basically principle, we make it possible this controller, this inner controller, interact with outer layer without knowing about its specifics. Basically, the interaction, it knows the use case or our controller or our domain part. It knows about outer level, knows in a way, but only knows about abstraction. It depends on abstraction. So it knows basic rule, but not how it will be implemented. In that way, use case can deal with outer layers through the interfaces, dependency injection framework. And all of that, and yeah, by the way, this dependency rule, when our outer layer should not know about inner layer, is even satisfied when we look in our modules, project modules. Our application module is outer circle. It knows about Android, main activity, lifecycle, context, etc. But and we can see it knows through this implementation line of code about domain, correct? Yeah, because it implements it. So we will be we can in that way have a view model inside this, to have a view model class inside this module, and to call from it a class that is implemented in this domain module. So application module knows about domain module, but domain module does not know about application module. It knows nothing about it. It knows only about, it has very one dependency, unit tests, and Kotlin. That's it. So very same rule. These know about this, but inner circle doesn't know about outer circle. The one who want to learn clean architecture, I recommend to go through this article. I don't know how many years it has already, but basically many generations, not generations, but many developers go through this article, and it's very practical, still practical in years. I remember I I was first familiar with it working probably on Tickets UA around 8 years before, and now I'm still using very same to mentor students or to explain someone clean architecture. So it's very useful one. Okay. But I've noticed, fine, I plan to review this code, but I explained dependency inversion principle and clean architecture. So, like in a nutshell. So let this video be about it, and let's review this class in another video.